back to another episode of Communicate 101 Speaking Writing Tips, your favorite podcast channel to build effective communication skills and bridge the gap between confusion and clarity. I'm your host Sarika Singh and I'm so excited to talk to you today. Let's get talking. Hriday from Kolkata wrote to me, "Hey Sarika, I'm an engineer by profession. Last Tuesday at a networking lunch, I met an old schoolmate after several decades. I'm 52. We were never friends in school, but the whole idea that you were in the same class, the same section, you had the same circle of friends, that's good enough if you meet after so long. So we met quite warmly, and I think we were both happy to see each other. And we talked the typical, how have you been, how many kids do you have, where do you live now, what do you do, what did you do after school, the typical. But after a few minutes, neither of us knew what to say. There was just a very weird, very awkward silence. We were looking here and there, smiling at random people, both of us searching for the next thing to say. Thankfully for me, someone else joined our conversation, and because it was a business lunch, we had to keep hopping from one conversation to the other. So this was a savior. But these kind of things keep happening at a social event, at a party, at random places. And Sarika, I'm a complete introvert, though I'm really, really trying to change that. I enjoyed your episode about communication for introverts, but today I want to ask you how to keep the conversation going and how to not run out of interesting things in a conversation. I feel for you, Hriday, and thank you so much. Thank you so much for trusting me to help you and for opening your heart up. It calls for a lot of courage because I am and I always was an introvert, so I know it calls for a lot of strength to be able to share all those details. But believe you me, your struggle isn't unique. We introverts, we struggle with opening up because we like to think things through. We don't like to jump into quick chats. I remember I used to feel so overwhelmed by having to respond fast, or by needing the energy which was required for socializing. It would just tire me out. There were people who were so comfortable doing that. It was cakewalk for them. It was a humdrum task for me. I worried about being judged. I worried about drawing too much attention. And end of the day, I would just talk to myself and not share my thoughts. But if I can change, so can you. Hriday, like I said, you're not alone because on similar lines, Deepika wrote to me from Nagpur. Deepika is a fashion designer and has a small but very popular boutique in Nagpur. And she says, Sarika, whenever clients come to me, they want to talk so much more. They don't want only an outfit design. They want to talk about this and that. And I'm not really a small talk person. But I've learned to talk much more than what I used to. I've been in this business for the last 8 to 10 years. But even now, I struggle with keeping the conversation alive and making it interesting. And many people, I feel, don't like the fact that I have such little to say. I don't have the gossip. I don't have the masala. I envy all those people who don't even design well. Still, their clients are very happy because they're great fun to talk to and they have some very interesting chats. How can I keep my conversation flowing? How can I keep my conversation interesting for my clients? I really, really could do with some help in this skill to pump up my business. So first things first, Deepika, thank you for sharing. And thank you for agreeing that your communication skills are really necessary to pump up any kind of personal or professional space. Whether you want to talk to your clients or whether you want to talk to your family or friends, if you have good communication skills, it can be miraculous for you. But The most important thing is that your WPD, your work, your product, your delivery, which is whatever is coming out of your boutique, is what is going to make you successful in the long run. So keep that focus there. But within this, you need to build people skills, that is communication skills, which will be that X factor to lubricate that work, that product, that delivery. And today I'm going to help you with that. That's pretty much my agenda here today. I have a suggestion to make today. In fact, this came from one of my students in a workshop, and I think it can benefit everyone out here. So the suggestion is that in case you keep a small notepad with you whenever you hear my episodes, I'm not calling it like a class, but it'll be helpful because I don't want the strategies to be easy come, easy go for you. So many times we see all these Insta videos and blah, blah, whatever, and we see and we save them, but we never go back to them again. Why? Because we're so overwhelmed with information. So if you have a small notepad, there are chances that you can actually apply these strategies in real life, and that is what is going to make them work for you. And this is the mission of this podcast, that I want to help upskill your communication skills. I don't advertise. We are a bootstrapped company. We don't have millions to afford those social media ads and to ramp up our millions of followers. We thrive on simple word of mouth, genuine publicity, and I personally thrive on the engagement I build with you. So if you follow me on Insta, where I share a lot of communication skill tips, strategies, my Insta handle is Communicate101, or if you reach my website for any kind of training, which is communicate101.com, or you hit the subscribe button of this podcast, all this is just enough to keep me motivated. So coming back to today's episode, Hriday, Deepika, and all of you out there, whoever is ready with a notepad, 3 cheers to you. Today's episode is all about some fantastic tricks that you can keep up your sleeves to keep the chatter flowing smoothly and alive. You'll make your conversation so much more interesting, and I'm going to share these strategies with you straight from my coaching playbook. Let's roll. Let's dive into the first strategy. I call it Ulta Chalo. In Hindi, Ulta means reverse and Chalo means walk. So Ulta Chalo means walk reverse. I often train HR professionals to use this technique because it helps them while taking interviews. It's a very simple technique, but with some practice, you'll learn to master it and you'll realize it's an extremely effective technique. Let me show you with an example. Let's name the person Ronnie. Okay? So Ronnie has joined a new office. New environment, new office building, new colleagues. And he finds one person that he thinks he can get connected with, a new colleague. He starts talking to this new colleague at lunchtime. They have this initial small talk. Today's weather. Where is the coffee machine? Which floor? Okay, what bus or what tube are you taking to reach office? Those typical new joinee questions. And after those typical, boring, standard Q&A session, suddenly things start to stall. There was more silence than talk. And neither Ronnie nor his colleague knew what to say. Ronnie was thinking, oh God, now what do I do? He must be thinking I'm such a boring person. So what should Ronnie do? I'd say walk reverse. That's right. Ulta Chalo. And how to do that? Before we get into the how, I'm going to tell you the background of this trick or this strategy. Before you start that walk reverse, you have to remember, ask yourself, what is it or who is it that people love talking about? Think, what is it or who is it that people love talking about? Is it their family? Nope. Is it their work? Not at all. Then, Yes, that's right. It's themselves. People love talking about themselves. So, this strategy has its root in this truth. So, all this while, you were talking about office coffee machine, office timings, public transport to reach office. Now, Ronnie, instead of scrambling for a new topic, turn the tables and walk the reverse. I'd suggest you to ask questions to flip the spotlight to where? To his new colleague. If I was Ronnie, I would ask, so what's the most exciting project you worked on recently? Or, so what's your typical Sunday like? This not only gives you a chance to learn more about the new colleague, but also keeps the conversation dynamic and engaging. Your colleague feels that you're genuinely interested in them, and you'll also know a thing or two about them. They love to talk about themselves, and that's what you've asked them. The same technique can be applied in a family gathering, any personal setup. If you want to be the most engaging, most chatty person at a family event, you want to be someone they'll always remember, not in the negative sense. Don't talk about you. Talk about them. Pick any one family member, starting with one and then moving to the other. Talk only and only nice things. That's good, that's necessary. And when I say pick a family member, I don't mean pick on them, but you can pick a family member and talk about them. Auntie, where did you learn that famous biryani recipe? It was so amazing. Or uncle, I heard you were a chess champion in your school days. You even played for state. Please tell us all about it. And also give us some tips for the game. This technique, this ulta chalo, walk the reverse, does two things. One, it brings momentum to the conversation, it makes it energetic, and two, it shows that you're genuinely interested in the other person's experiences, so you naturally and genuinely connect with that person on a more deeper level. I remember working with a client who struggled with small talk at social events, but by using this technique, she transformed her interactions. She used to be a complete introvert, just like me. Now she can pretty much talk to the wall. So ulta chalo, walk the reverse, focus on the other person, not yourself, and see that you'll never run out of content creation masala for any of your conversations, anywhere, anytime. Jot it down in your notepad and start practicing this from today. On the other side, we'll see the next strategy. Do you remember that language class in school? English language or Hindi language or whichever language you grew up studying? We used to be asked to write essays. Essays on if you were the Prime Minister of India, if you won a lottery, if you became invisible for a day. So many if you, right? Anyway, it is those essays, it is those ifs which has given me the idea for this today's strategy, the second strategy for today. Now, I'm going to share with you this strategy, and believe you me, you can use this technique to spark some very, very interesting conversations, and such conversations which people will love you for. Isn't that the objective? This technique is like the seasoning in your conversational recipe. It spices up things and keeps it interesting. I call it the what if trick. Now, Pragya was hosting an old friends reunion at her house. There was a lot of laughter, a lot of gossip, a lot of friendly banter. Who dated whom, who became successful, who was the class clown, what is he doing now, blah, blah, blah. And Pragya, she circulated in various groups. Obviously, she was the host. It was her duty to keep everyone entertained and engaged. In one group, typically full of only those very intelligent, super quiet kind of people who'd just smile rather than talk. Or maybe they would pretend checking some important message on their phones. In that group, Pragya felt that her conversation was hitting a wall. The minute Pragya realized she was so close to the dead end, she threw out a what if question. How did she do that? Okay, so she was smart. She picked up Tanush. Tanush was the most chatty person in that quiet group. Okay, because she wanted someone who would participate given an option. So she asked the group, in particular Tanush, let me ask you, what typical Miss Universe question? What if you could work from anywhere in the world? Where would you choose and why? Suddenly, Pragya got the attention of the entire group. Everybody was first looking at Pragya and then all eyes focused on Tanush. Tanush felt very important. He liked the idea that everybody is focused on him and that they were interested in him. They wanted to know what he had to say. So then he started talking and slowly one after the others followed and they all, talked about what if you could work from anywhere in the world, where would you choose and why? Everybody had their own version. Typically, what if questions serve three purposes. 1. They open up avenues for creative responses. So, there is a new response coming from every person. 2. They can lead to deeper discussions because there's no predictable response. There's no right or wrong answer. So, the conversation can become deeper and a deeper conversation is often more engaging. And 3. They also show you genuinely interest in the other person's thoughts, his ideas, his replies. So, that builds connection. So next time, whenever you want people to like you, to engage with you, and you don't want to run out of ideas about what to talk to them, instead of asking, what do you do for a living? You could ask, if you could do any job in the world, what would it be? And why would you want to do that? Believe me, their responses will be fun, shocking, and super interesting. They will work. This time, they will work to make the conversation super interesting. The next time you find yourself in a conversation that's hitting a lull, remember these techniques and I hope you've made some notes today. If not, just grab a pen and do make some before we forget what we heard. I hope you're already following me on Insta on Communicate 101 because I share tons of communication tips there. And remember, ask questions that can turn the spotlight back on the other person, introduce some creative what-if scenarios to spark their imagination, and follow me on Insta, Communicate 101. Thank you for listening to this episode of Communicate 101 Speaking Writing Tips with Sarika Singh. If you want to be notified of upcoming episodes, be sure to hit the subscribe button and follow the podcast. I'll be back to share more stories, more life experiences, and more communication tips every Friday. If you want to reach me or connect with me, just put your comments in the comment box below or mail me at info@sarikasingh.in. I know you're going to rate and review this podcast, so a big thank you in advance. Stay tuned and think about what we talked today.